we want to go ahead and do a bad deal review. In addition to showing you upcoming opportunities, showing you guys past auction results, teaching you something as far as the training tip of the week, we also like to review a bad deal. And the reason is that can be just as educational, many times even more educational than looking at a good deal. And so what we're going to be looking at tonight is a property that sold in Ohio. In fact, I've kind of followed a little bit of this story for a couple of years. I remember when he first purchased this property, where it involves easements and purchasing a building lot that was actually had a road connected to it, and some of the things that's happened since he purchased that property.
At a Butler County Sheriff's Office auction, Jason Fauntleroy bought this lot hoping to build a home on it. But the purchase didn't come with just this sliver of land. It came with this entire street.
What is interesting about the story, though, is so the gentleman, this is in Ohio, and he was interested in trying to acquire a building lot for himself. And he saw this property in the sale and believed, you kind of see the open lot that is that's here, which was what he believed that he was holding. Now, he was picking up or buying. Now, I'm not sure. I still haven't been able to clarify yet if he was looking at a GIS and it showed the entire street there that was included with it as well, and not just the lot. But in reality, what this lot, it's shaped kind of like an L, or at least it goes down and follows the road. And so not only does it include the building lot here, but it includes this road as well that he bought. He paid $5,000 for this property when he bought it, looking for, again, a lot that he could maybe build something on someday. And he didn't necessarily know about the road when he first heard about the road. When he first understood that there was a road there, I think he kind of saw it as a positive. Hey, maybe I can make some more money off of this. Maybe there's something that I can do with it. But obviously, there's not really much he can do with the road itself. There's already homes up and down the road, and so he didn't really feel like, it's not like he was going to try to charge the neighbors there to get in and out. He also didn't want to be responsible for dealing with the maintenance of the road. And so it wasn't exactly what he wanted, but the city actually decided that they wanted the property back so that they could do work on the road and make it a part of this. In fact, they're not even really sure how the sale happened this way, how it was a public road here somehow initially when they sold it, but they decided that they wanted it back, and they decided to use eminent domain to get it. And which the main issue that he had with it was that they essentially wanted to take back the road and not pay anything for it all to him. And
it's been a nightmare.
That's how Fauntleroy describes the back and forth he's been having with the city of Trenton. It's over this piece of land he's owned for 3 years. Fauntleroy claims the city began the process of reclaiming the land through eminent domain back in October. But when the property was appraised, instead of assessing all of the land, the lot and the sliver of street out in front, Fauntleroy maintains they only appraised a portion.
Well, and part of the issue was that it was actually not a public road, it was a private road. So it was made by the people that created that subdivision, and then they quit paying their property taxes, and he ended up picking it up at a tax deed auction. So he went to the local auction there, he picked it up, and it was a private road that was essentially, that was not paid for by the original developers, just let it go to the auction. And so because of it, it wasn't a public road. That's part of the reason why he was concerned about any type of maintenance that may be involved. And then as Shade started getting into, the city made it about as difficult as they could to work out a decent deal with him, and tried to just essentially take the property from him, even though he had purchased it through a legal tax sale.
They shut me out. They block my calls. It's hard to even get through to anybody.
Fauntleroy says he just wants the full and fair value. So I took his unanswered questions to the city of Trenton.
So he legally owns this lot here and this street?
Yes.
He purchased that. How can he purchase a street where there are multiple homes on that drive?
So I'm not sure how that occurs, other than that it was a private drive that was created through a homeowners association The homeowners association was responsible for maintaining that property.
Yeah, in fact, it got to a point where for a while they were kind of ignoring his calls. We think that what ended up happening in the end was they subdivided the property so that they could split up the lot that he originally wanted there from the rest of the lot. So he still has his lot, and then they paid him, we think, $1,000 for the lot itself. Sometime afterwards, but it just turned into kind of a big headache and something that he had to deal with for a while that he didn't really want to have to deal with. And
Trend City Manager Marcos Nichols says the city's actions are a result of contentious conversations.
If you purchase the street in addition to the lot, why is the lot only being assessed for property value in this eminent domain litigation?
So I cannot speak to the appraised value. The thought process with the appropriation process is to convert the private drive to a public roadway, which the city would then be responsible for maintaining and owning.
But beyond that, though, he made money on it, and it worked out okay. But it just does go to show you that even if something looks like it may be, an opportunity, when it's something like a road, there's almost always going to be a headache attached to it. There's almost always going to be complications or problems that are there, just because we want to stick to properties that are traditionally usable, meaning that we're dealing with nice either building lots or we're dealing with good improved properties. But what we don't want to deal with is junk land, or land that we couldn't sell, and roads always kind of qualify like that.
Treat people fair. Don't just take advantage of someone because they don't have the means of getting an attorney.
In Trenton, Jay Shakur, WCPO 9 News.
Yeah, in fact, if you look at that photo right there, you can see that there's 6 homes right there, and there's that one empty lot. So it was kind of a contractor that was able to subdivide that, but the road never got transferred over to the city, and so it was kind of a private road that everyone was using, but it was connected to that lot that he ended up purchasing. So it ended up being quite a bit, a pretty big headache for him to be able to purchase it. And when you look at it like that, you could kind of see how that could happen, where it wouldn't necessarily be a public road at that point if some developer just developed it and kept that piece of real estate within their company name.
Yeah. So it's kind of an interesting sale, and also something that happened to somebody that was new. And this guy was not a professional investor. He was just a local there that came across the sale and thought what might be an opportunity there to acquire a piece of property, some kind of a building lot, but just turned into a little bit more of a headache than that.
Yeah, definitely. So, the fact that you guys are on the call this evening, you're going through and you're learning about what to do and what not to do. If you go through the 3 stages of due diligence that we talk about within our membership, you're going to be able to see these things before. In fact, really stage 1, as we're looking at the GIS map, should be able to kind of help eliminate a lot of these easement type properties. And as we get into stage 2, we can look at the deed and see, is there actually an easement attached to it as well? So in addition to all of the good properties that we can purchase out there, there's also risks that are going to be involved. And we want to make sure that you guys understand those risks and know what to do when you see them. We essentially just avoid any of those type of properties.